How's it going, Guardians? It is your boy Turkey here at SGN, bringing you another topic, not necessarily completely different from the situation going on at Bungie, but more of the reason as to why it's happening as of right now. I feel like a lot of channels have focused mainly on the employment and the executive issues at Bungie, but I think today we are going to be focusing more along the lines of the adherence to complaints and drops, class identity, and in my opinion what that ultimately means for the game, and I think how it has somewhat and in a sense fast tracked us to the state that we're at today, and it definitely doesn't help Bungie's case. So the first thing that I would like to clear up, and the topic that I'm mentioning whenever we're talking about Bungie and Destiny and the situation that it's currently at with the player sentiment being at such a low, and if I'm not mistaken, the concurring player rate is kind of coming to a fall. Last time I checked, it was about 30,000. Community adherence. When I say that, I mean listening so intently to people in your community that may or may not be offering you constructive criticism and just want easy ways to succeed in your game. And when you do things like this, like making legendaries more I don't know how to say it, more attainable, just not as special. There was a point in Destiny 1 where you did have blue armor, and then when you got a legendary, it was actually something special. And this was prior to random roles being introduced into the game. This is whenever you can get a legendary, and you had the same devil or hand cannon that somebody else did back in D1. And in D2, whenever they did introduce random roles, I thought that was really phenomenal. And I guess it made it a little bit more okay whenever you did find the same loot, but that didn't take away the fact that you have these titles on things that don't match up with how frequently you receive them. I don't find anything legendary about a piece of gear whenever everybody has that same exact piece of gear, the exact same rifle, the exact same AR, the exact same rocket launcher. And the same thing can unfortunately be said about the exotics. And whenever you're given something, I understand, like the Risk Runner or the Tractor Cannon or something early as a new light to understand the power of an exotic and the difference between the two. But when they're so easily attained, for example, in the most recent DLC, the Final Shape, obviously we had Cade's Retribution. And Cade's Retribution is one of the most well-designed exotics, in my opinion, in Destiny history. And I'm not trying to convey the idea of gatekeeping exotics, but what I'm saying is there's nothing exotic about something if everybody has it. The functionality of it is great, yes. The way it plays, the way it fits into builds is great, yes. But there's nothing special about it if there's no work put in to get it. And I feel like that's something that has really dragged this game down over time. And whether or not that's something people agree with me on, I think I firmly stand my ground in this because I've just been playing games for so long, and I've played so many MMOs, like RPG-esque style games. And anytime you do this, where you essentially nerf the game by just allowing players to get stuff, it naturally forces people to run out of ways to play the game because you're just handing them things. And truth be told, another example of that that's even happened relatively recently is the Choir of One. I'm a big fan of new exotics, new things being brought into the game, but I'm not even really enticed to log on to get this weapon that everybody's going to be using in the exact same way. And it's no disrespect to other content creators, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen is people are going to get this gun, and then they're going to find a YouTube video or a way to use it the best, and there's not going to be build variety in it because everybody's going to have the weapon. It's just from a story mission. There's no genuine difficulty in getting it. There's guides, and things are just, simply put, just too easy to do. Everything is easy to attain in Destiny, and the only things that really aren't are going to be raid weapons, and most especially raid weapons from content that's no longer even available. Like Legend of Acreus is impossible, not really impossible to get, but it's just time consuming to get. It costs 240 spoils and Ascendant Shards, the exotic ciphers, and the same thing can be said about like Anarchy and things like that. But whenever you make things so accessible, it just absolutely diminishes, I think, the reason that you're even getting them. You know what I mean? You're fighting to get this god roll, and it's great that you can get it, but what's the point of everybody having the exact same weapon, the exact same loadout, no build variety in a game where I feel like that's what makes it shine. And I feel like that's the best way to highlight how I feel about, whenever I say community adherence and just listening to player sentiment and complain about getting things, that's the best way to come across, is just the ease of access to things that make the game easier. And now the second huge thing that I feel like has really dealt a very large blow to this game, and it really does to a lot of games that try to survive in the genre of looter, shooter, RPG, MMO, whatever you would want to, just the genre, grinding for things, putting it on, looking cool, being a badass, leveling up, things along those lines. Just progression-based RPGs, shooters, looters, things along those lines. This game itself has lost identity between the classes, and I don't know if that's because collective nerfs. It's not. I don't think it's favoritism. I'll never say that devs really like a certain class more than the other. But when you look at every single class, nowadays with Prismatic especially, every single class does everything. The gameplay is smooth. There's nothing wrong with the gameplay. But the fact of the matter is, you don't need a Warlock with a well. You don't need a Titan with a bubble. And you don't need a Hunter with a golden gun. And especially with Cade's Retribution, because now every class gets a golden gun. And they didn't have to work very hard to get it either. It's just something that was given in the story. And I'm not complaining saying you shouldn't have it, but it's just like certain things, when you talk about power creep, that is an instance in where power creep just shows no utility. Back in D1, you had Warlocks that were traditionally known, for just the mid-range combat, whatever it is that Warlocks do. Hunters were fast, they do their damage, they go invis, they could pick up the sword in Crota. You had a reason to have a Hunter in Crota. Titans had Bubble could blind with Saint 14. Warlocks had Sunsinger, they could come back. Every class could do something that the other class couldn't do. And even in early D1, you had reasons to be running certain classes. Now everybody can do anything. You can do plenty of damage with basically any subclass, and all the content doesn't reflect the need or the necessity to have an actual well-versed fire team. And I feel like that is something that just takes away from the game heavily. You never see somebody running Bubble Titan. You simply don't see it. And I don't know if Bungie thought attaching Weapons of Light to the Helm of Saint 14 was going to entice people to use the Bubble War, but with how little it provides and how long of a cooldown it's on, it genuinely serves no purpose. I can't think of a reason why anybody would run that. Well of Radiance has been nerfed, so you don't really have Warlocks running well. You just have them running Song of Flame. They have 8 turrets attached to their shoulders, and they're just throwing grenades and shooting rockets. It's just so uncharacteristic of Bungie, and I do like the power fantasy. It's just, I don't know. I can't really put my finger on it. The gameplay of Destiny has always been some of the best gameplay in any shooter, and I'll put that out there as my personal opinion, and I will stand on that. The gameplay in Bungie has been phenomenal. Not Bungie, I'm sorry. The gameplay in Destiny has been phenomenal ever since I can remember. But as of lately, just the spark to play the game has not been there. I unfortunately haven't touched this game in like a week. I've been playing more Fortnite than I've been playing Destiny, to put that into perspective. And I love this game. I grinded for the new weapons. I got the Speleologist, which was the new LMG, and it was just so underwhelming that I couldn't even believe that I had crafted it and was excited to do it. And then all the hype around Choir 1, and then it got insta-nerfed. I don't know. The game is in a strange spot, and I really have my fingers crossed for Frontiers and the future of Destiny. But right now, I just think we're in such a doldrum that something miraculous has to happen to bring this game to what we remember it as. And this is, like I said, very different than before. It's just my thoughts and sentiments about power creep, gear being easy to attain, and just how that has gotten us here. Just having classes that can do everything, loot just tossed down your throat. Just too many ways to access things that are quote-unquote legendary and quote-unquote exotic, and that completely negates the novelty of them. If you feel the same, or if you think there's anything that could be added to this thought, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And yeah, it's your boy Turkey here at SGN. I will still be playing Destiny, but right now I don't know if there will be as many build videos, but more just feeling an insight on the state of the game. Hopefully you guys understand and enjoy this, and I feel like most people in the community are echoing sentiments as well. But it's been your boy, and peace.